storied franchise comes to Cincinnati. Those that wore the pinstripes, an honor roll of some of the game's greatest players. But they, of course, are not here. Neither is the current Yankee captain, carrying on the tradition of Yankee championships. Who is here? The Reds, a team looking to make their indelible mark on baseball, looking to be considered among baseball's elite. Join us tonight. The Reds challenge one of the game's heavyweights, trying to show New York and the baseball world the Reds not only belong, but can ultimately be the best.
The following is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Ohio.
Well, it is a beautiful weather night in downtown Cincinnati, and we welcome you to Great American Ballpark. National League versus American League for the next 2 weeks. And, of course, the biggest name in all of professional sports comes to town to open a 3-game series. The Reds hosting the New York Yankees. And a pleasant good evening to you. Alongside Chris Welsh, I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to Reds baseball here on Fox Sports Ohio. We know the Reds this year, Chris, have had problems beginning the game, giving up lots of runs in the first inning. No team has delivered an early knockout punch this year quite like their rival tonight, the New York Yankees.
Oh, you're not kidding about that, Tom. The Yankees have outscored their rivals by 42 runs in the first 2 innings. They just come out swinging the bats, pounding the baseball, putting up lots of runs, and that really should be scary for a pitching coach like Brian Price, who has seen his pitching staff give it up early and often.
Now, one major change tonight due to a stiff neck. Johnny Cueto was supposed to be on the mound, but with the off day, it works out that they bumped him back to tomorrow. Travis Wood on 4 days rest tonight. Is that a big deal for you?
Well, you know, I would always like to see Johnny Cueto in the first game of a series, because if you win that first game, you guarantee yourself you're not going to get swept, and obviously he is the horse in the Red starting rotation. However, Travis Wood is pitching on his normal day's rest. He ought to be okay out there, but he's going to have to locate his fastball. This is a Yankee team that is very unforgiving on balls in the middle of the zone. Combine that with the home run propensity of this ballpark and the short dimensions of Great American Ballpark, and it could be trouble if Travis Wood is able to keep that ball down.
Well, we checked in with Dusty. Why the change?
A minor problem. Johnny's been bothered by his neck's been bothering him for the last few days, probably since the plane trip coming back, and so versus us waiting till the last minute and telling Woody, you know, strap it on and let's go, we've decided to make the change.
All right, so it's Wood tonight against Ivan Nova. Obviously, the Reds had never seen him before. We'll talk more about him shortly. Perhaps the best 2 second basemen in the game go toe-to-toe in this series. We'll talk more about that right around the corner. agents are there when you need them. Find an agent or get a quote at statefarm.com. By your local Ford dealer. Ford, drive one. By the Regional Tourism Network, book your trip at CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Skyline, whenever you're feeling good and hungry, it's Skyline time. Boy, did it rain like crazy earlier today in Cincinnati. A gorgeous night. What about the rest of it, Tim Hedrick?
Well, well, well. Look who's in town. Oh, yeah. The Bronx Bombers. So the temperatures are going to be fairly steady in the mid-70s. You may get clobbered by a shower or thunderstorm early on. You ready? You knuckleheads. Bada bing, bada bing, bada bing. Throw me the ball. Throw me the ball. See you later.
Brandon Phillips hoping for a little bit of that tonight, going toe-to-toe with the American League's best second baseman, Robinson Cano.
Well, it's not very often that you see maybe the two best players in their own position matching up against each other in the same game, but you have them right here. Obviously, Brandon Phillips, he's the man who puts more glove action on the ball than any other second baseman in this league, and Robinson Cano just may be the best player in the American League. And we'll see how these two guys tilt it up against each other to start at 3 tonight.
Yankees in town. Reds are taking the field. First pitch is next. Girardi's lineup has Nick Swisher in right field, Curtis Granderson in center, Mark Teixeira at first, A-Rod at third, Robinson Cano at second, Russell Martin, the former Dodger, catching, and a latter third of Andrew Jones in left. Eduardo Nunez at short, replacing the Nova is on the mound. Starting it for the Reds, left-hander Travis Wood.
16th start of the year for this 24-year-old left-hander. He hopes that he improves really over the last couple of times he's pitched. Wood has been good and bad. He's got to locate that fastball. That is always number one for Travis.
And a strike one to Nick Swisher, and this game is underway. At 41 up, 29 down, the Yankees own the second best winning percentage in the American League, second only to Boston in their own division. And they have the third best record in all of baseball, behind Boston and Philadelphia. A star-studded cast, but it's been an injured Yankee team. It really is amazing. This club, with all the injuries and the key injuries, is 12 games above 500. 2-1 on Swisher. For Swisher with Ohio ties. His father, born and raised in the Buckeye State, former major leaguer Steve Swisher. Nick grew up in West Virginia but played collegiately at Ohio State University. 2-2. Swisher earlier last week batted in the leadoff spot for the first time in 3 years. He's only done it 30 times total in his major league career. 2-2 pitch. Pulled into left field, and that's a leadoff single for Swisher. Reds on defense, brought to you by Ford. It'll be Stubbs in center, flanked by Heisey and Bruce. Roland, Janish, Phillips, and Votto third to first with a battery of Travis Wood and Ryan Hannigan. Now, over the weekend during interleague play, the Yankees, of course, were at Wrigley Field against the Cubs. And from a number of scouts who are here tonight that watched that series over the last 3 days, they felt like the Cubs pitchers, especially their starting pitchers, pitched scared to some of these Yankee hitters. In other words, were afraid to throw strikes.
Well, sometimes, you know, when you play the Yankees, you're afraid of the names on their backs. But fortunately for the Reds, if you're looking at that, they, of course, have no names on their uniforms. You can't be worried about who they are. You know, Mark Teixeira, A-Rod, Derek Jeter when he's in the lineup. These are ball players. You've got to pitch to the scouting report and pitch without fear. And that's the best advice that you can give anybody, including tonight's starter, Travis Wood. You've got to use your best fastball and locate it. Like he made a mistake to Nick Swisher in the first batter of the game, went 2-2, threw one right down the middle to him and gave up a base hit. You've got to stay aggressive. You've got nothing to lose. No one really expects the Reds to sweep the Yankees. But you know what? You go out and play as hard as you can.
2-1 the count. Granderson is tied with his teammate Mark Teixeira, and then Jose Bautista, the Reds just saw with Toronto over the weekend, for the most home runs in the major leagues. Of course, not a surprise with Teixeira, not a surprise with Bautista, but certainly Granderson digging in here on the 20th of June with 21 home runs would be considered a surprise.
Well, very much so, because he only hit 24 home runs all of last year. He's just about to his total RBI total that he had last year, so he is off. Really what you're seeing in Curtis Granderson is a very talented player who spent a lot of years in the major leagues over with Detroit, now reaching his peak in New York. And that's a scary thing for the rest of the American League.
Swisher only 1 out of 3 in stolen base attempts. Struck him out on a pitch up and in.
Well, that's what I mean about not pitching scare time. You go right after him. Travis Wood's best pitch is his fastball. His second best pitch is his fastball. His third best is one that looks like a fastball but isn't, and that would be his changeup. But he comes right with a 4-seam fastball. There you see the backspin on it. It does not sink at all, and he throws it right by Curtis Granderson.
Now the switch hitting first baseman Mark Teixeira. We told you he, along with Granderson, each with 21 home runs. Teixeira with 55 knocked in. This Yankee team can hit, and I mean really hit. They lead the major leagues in home runs. They have 32 of their games they've played already this year where they've hit more than 1 home run in a game. But really, when they hit, nearly 50% of their runs have been directly a result of the home run ball. So here, the best home running team is playing in one of the best home run hitting parks. But if you can find a way to keep them in the yard, their MO has not been able to score in a lot of other ways.
Well, they're certainly not a small ball team, and you wouldn't think that they would be. Not with the kind of payroll that you have. You don't go out and bunt runners over in the American League and expect to win. They pound the ball. They pay guys a lot of money to come in here and hit home runs. So don't expect the stolen base. Don't expect the hit and run, things like that. They're going to sit back and watch guys like Teixeira and A-Rod go ahead and wheel that lumber.
1-2 the count on Teixeira. Runner at first, 1 out. We're just underway here in the opening inning. And a rocket into center field, a base hit. Another 2-strike hit. So 2-1 for Alex Rodriguez, and we'll focus in on A-Rod, our Farmers Insurance report card. How about these career numbers?
Very, very impressive. 626 home runs and nearly 1,900 runs batted in.
A-Rod at 289. He continues to dispute reports that he's been bothered by an ailing left shoulder. Still has 13 home runs and 43 runs batted in. But a apparently a source inside the Yankee clubhouse said that Rodriguez has been bothered by that shoulder for the better part of a month and will not tell anybody about it. Base hit in the left field. They are going to wave around the runner as Heisey drops the ball in left field. 3 hits and the Yankees a 1-0 lead.
Well, you wouldn't expect the Yankees to string together 3 singles in the first inning. You would expect them to score in the first, and this is another base hit, a single. This one goes over the head of Scott Rowland at third base. Now, Chris Heisey gets to this ball fairly quickly, but he kind of trips over himself trying to make the scoop. So they're going to send their runner around, and the Yankees will put one on the board early.
So once again, as Chris talked about, not only in Reds Live, but also at the beginning of our game coverage, one of the real strengths of this Yankee team, and look over the course of every baseball season, 2/3 of the time when a team scores first, they win the game. And the Yankees are 12 games over 500 thanks in large part to the fact that they don't fool around against the opposition in the first or second inning.
You know, by contrast, the Reds do it late in the ball game. There's only one other ball club that have scored more runs in the 9th inning than the Reds. That would be the Houston Astros. But if you have your choice, you score early. That way you get in the bullpen, you wear the other team down, and they're always playing catch-up. And that's what you see when you play against the Yankees, other teams playing catch-up.
Cano with 14 home runs and 46 runs batted in. 2 on, 1 in, 1 out. 0-1 on Cano. 0-2. You may remember his last start. If you just looked at the numbers, it looked like a very good start. There's a rocket into left field, and this will bring in another run. All 4 Yankee hits have come with 2 men out, or 2 strikes, I beg your pardon. And it's 2-0 New York on the double by Robinson Cano.
Well, he gets the ball up. Here's an 0-2 pitch. You see where Ryan Hannigan is. He wants that ball up and out of the strike zone, and that's nowhere near where it is. If you're going to miss on a pitch like that, as Travis would, you've got to miss up and away. There's no bargain at all trying to miss and then pick the outside corner. Let's take another look at it. He should be throwing his ball way up here somewhere. But instead, you see he catches part of the strike zone, and you're looking at one of the better hitters in the American League right there, Robinson Cano, who makes an easy slice of double down the left field line.
You know, we're starting to talk about Travis Wood. And you may remember his last outing against the Dodgers. If you just looked at the innings, the hits, and the runs, you think, man, that's a good start. 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 run. He walked 5 batters. The Dodgers left 8 runners on base in the first 4 innings of the game. Yes, Wood would make the pitch when he had to make the pitch, but he was on the brink of getting hit and hit hard for a lot of runs, inning after inning of that game.
Yeah, you also remember some of the very fine defensive plays the Reds had to make to kind of get him off the hook.
Runners at second and third now for the former Dodger, Russell Martin. They remember Martin fractured his hip last season playing for the Dodgers. They decided not to offer him a contract, and the Yankees brought him in to be their main guy. Jorge Posada no longer catching, is not caught at all in a spring training game or a regular season game this year. 1-1 to Martin. Rodriguez at third. Cano with a run-scoring double leads at second base. 1 out.
Well, if you're Travis Wood, inside his head right now thinking about damage control, needs to keep those runners that are on base, leave them right there. That means a strikeout right here of Russell Martin. The problem is Russell Martin doesn't strike out all that much. In fact, he walks nearly as many times as he strikes out. So he's a good guy to put the ball in play. You saw the stat we just put up there about how many times he's able to score that runner from third with less than 2. That's because he puts the bat on the ball.
And the Reds are conceding that run at third base unless something is hit right at Rolen or perhaps right at Votto. 3-1 delivery. And he takes strike 2. Martin had flipped the bat away thinking it was ball 4.
Now Marvin Hudson, let's give you a scout report on the home plate umpire tonight. He calls strikes about 62.68% of the time. That puts him right in the middle range of a major league umpire as far as whether he's a pitcher's umpire or a hitter's umpire.
Three balls, 2 strikes on Russell Martin. And a ground ball to short to bring in another run. Giannis throws out Martin, plating Rodriguez. 3-0 New York. And on to third goes Robinson Cano. Well, now Wood just trying to survive the first, having fallen behind 3-0. 7th man to bat in the inning, longtime Atlanta Braves standout Andrew Jones. Very limited playing time these days for Jones, who racked up so many big seasons playing for Bobby Cox in Atlanta. Strike 1.
He's still got some power, though. I mean, don't be misled by the fact that he doesn't get a lot of playing time and he only has 4 home runs. If you leave a ball on the inner part of the plate, that's where he is going to just attack it and drive it on out of here. They're going to go low and away with him. He's always been a guy that will pull off the ball a little bit. But he was a hitter even during his heydays with Bobby Cox and the Atlanta Braves. You made a mistake middle in, about thigh high down the middle, and there was a real good chance you were getting a brand new baseball.
Of course, for so long there, I mean, Jones was among the best players in the game. He has 7 years in his career of at least 30 home runs, 5 seasons of at least 100 batted in, 4 years of over 100 runs scored, and he's won 10 Gold Glove awards. Another 2-strike mistake by Travis Wood, and it is 4-0.
Now, bottom line for any pitcher at any level, it always comes down to fastball command. And if your catcher is set up low and away and you throw a 2-strike pitch down Broadway, I don't care if you're 10 years old or 40 years old, you're going to get a base hit out of it. And that's essentially what has happened here to Travis Wood in the first inning. He makes 2 good pitches and then somehow makes a mistake before he can put the hitters away. I haven't seen a changeup, haven't seen a good slider, haven't seen a curveball. I'm a little confused by what I'm seeing. I mean, I know the game plan really ought to be for every starting pitcher. It's usually the same. Let's establish your fastball or establish your best pitch. And in the case of Wood, it is the fastball. But there ought to be places where you concentrate that I am not going to throw the ball, especially ahead in the count.
Eighth batter to bat in what has been a 4-run Yankees first inning in the opener of this 3-game series. The Yankees come into this series on a roll, playing some of their best baseball of the year. 8-2 in their last 10 road games, where their pitching has been dynamite, including 2 out of 3 over the weekend in Chicago. 1-2 on Eduardo Nunez, who of course is in the lineup replacing the Yankees captain Derek Jeter, who's out with an injured calf. It's interesting to note the Yankees' most recent visit prior to tonight came on June the 3rd, 2003. That is the date when Jeter was named the Yankees' 11th team captain in franchise history. Andrew Jones has not attempted a stolen base this year. Popped up in the foul ground, and mercifully this first inning is over for Wood. 5 hits, 4 runs in the New York first inning. Ballpark, and the Reds already in a 4-0 hole. Let's take a look at Dusty Baker's lineup. Drew Stubbs in center, Brandon Phillips at second, Joey Votto at first, Jay Bruce in right, Scott Rowan at third, Chris Heisey in left, a ladder third of Ryan Hannigan, Paul Yanish, and Travis Wood. Rookie right-hander having a pretty good year, Ivan Nova.
Well, he makes his 15th start, his 16th appearance overall for this rookie right-hander, as a guy that pitched a little bit last year. Ivan Nova did. Big, tall guy, 6 feet 4 inches tall. He'll throw a real nice curveball. That is the key for him. If he gets that curveball over, he can be a very tough customer.
Stubbs at 261, 10 home runs and 31 runs batted in. First pitch, breaking ball there after an 0-1 count, and it misses just a little bit high. 1-1 is Stubbs, Phillips to follow, and then Votto. It's trying to take a bite out of that 4-0 Yankee lead. And a liner into left center field. It'll fall in a base hit. The Yankees on defense, presented by Ford. Andrew Jones, Curtis Granderson, Nick Swisher, left, center, and right. Eduardo Nunez, Robinson, Cano up the middle, Rodriguez and Teixeira on the corners, Nova and Russell Martin the batters.
Well, the Reds are down by 4, but it's not the 8th inning. It's the first inning. So you play your own ball game, at least in my opinion. You don't sit back and wait for a 3-run homer, because that's really not the offense this team provides. If you run and gun, you run and gun right now.
Well, which prompts the immediate question. You have Stubbs over there, 20 steals in 22 attempts. how much can you run on Ivan Nova?
Well, and also Russell Martin in that picture. Russell Martin's not throwing the ball all that badly, but they have stolen 7 bases off of Nova, and they've been thrown out 3 times. So if you can get a lead, if you can read his move, you go ahead and get off to the races. Stay out of a double play ball. Get 1 run in this inning if possible. You know, that's a good idea by Stubbs. Get a big enough lead, make him throw over a couple of times. Let's measure his move in real time. You've seen it on video, you've studied it and so on, heard scouting reports. Let's take a look at it yourself so that you know the key that you're supposed to look for, whether you can pick it up live.
Stubbs running, pitch taken in, and a throw is into center field, and Stubbs did not pick it up until it was too late. So he has his 21st stolen base in 23 tries.
Well, Drew Stubbs goes into the slide everywhere he goes as hard as anybody in baseball. He waits to the very last second to slide. It's not at the end of his time. And see where he hits the bag. He hits it very violently and comes up. He's got to grab the bag as he goes by to make sure that he's going to hang on. He doesn't know where the ball is until he looks in the right field and sees it out there. So now you've got a duck on the pond for Brandon Phillips and then Joey Votto.
And a 2-0 count on Brandon Phillips with Stubbs at second and nobody out. And it's a base hit into right field. They're going to hold Drew at third, having to make sure that ball was not caught. So the Reds have him on the corners with nobody out.
Well, our Fox tracks will take a look at this pitch. Down and away. That's exactly what Brandon Phillips does with it. Our Performance Honda. Look at that base hit to right field. First and third go the Reds. I love that Exmo look. And thank you to Performance Honda for providing it.
Now Joey Votto with runners on the corners and nobody out here in the Reds' first inning, trailing 4-0. Strike 1. Votto hitless in the first 2 games of the Toronto series before coming up with 3 hits, 4 at-bats, and was aboard when Cairo hit that home run in a 2-1 decision. And a double play ball here. The Reds get a run, but they're 2 outs and nobody on. No RBI, of course, for Votto on the double play.
You know, you never want to see a double play ball right there, but if you look at the bright side, the Reds have scored 1 in this inning to begin to cut the lead back. And it was so important to put something other than a 0 on the board. What the Reds were able to do with their first 2 hitters is take the off-speed pitch away from Nova. That's his big key. If he can get that curveball over, that's what's going to make or break him in a ball game.
Took a bad hop on Teixeira, and he hung with it. That's why he's won 4 Gold Gloves in his career. Reds get a run back. They're down 3.
Let's see that.
1-800-OAK-OHIO. Reds team ERA very good so far here in the month of June, although the first inning tonight won't help that.
No, it certainly won't, but you can see the problems that the Reds had, especially in the month of May. When your earned run average is at 4.4, way above the league average, it's going to be a problem. But their starters have been so much better in the month of June, and that's the reason why. Dusty Baker's been able to rely on his starting rotation to give you a good 6, maybe even 7 innings, 8 innings like they did yesterday with Bronson Arroyo, and you take the pressure off the bullpen. You run the great pitchers out of the bullpen, the last 3 or 4 out there, and you're going to have a better earned run average.
Well, how about Arroyo yesterday? After the team had lost the first 2 games of that series, man, did he step up and deliver.
And against a nemesis of his, a team that he's had a hard time over the years pitching well against, the Toronto Blue Jays, he just shut them down.
Ivan Nova, the pitcher, batting for the first time this year.
It looks like it. Don't ease up on him here. And just because he had a bad swing on an 0-1 pitch, you don't groove one down the middle and try to force your fastball. You get a punch out right here. You bury him.
Well, he got a pitch to hit right there.
He did. And that's another waist-high 0-2 pitch. I think this is more of a matter of mental adjustment for Travis Wood than it is anything physical. I mean, he's got to tell himself where he is not going to throw a baseball. That's another way too good of a strike zone pitch. You know, when you do that, Tom, I think oftentimes when you're overthrowing, you try to throw the ball a little bit too hard and you don't think about command first. You think about power first.
Struck him out to begin the inning. Second strikeout of the night for Wood. Right now on FoxSportsOhio.com, you can chat live with Hall of Fame baseball writer Hal McCoy. Reds fans want changes to this lineup. Hal weighs in on that topic. Presented by 1-800-SAFE-AUTO and SafeAuto.com. 4-1 ball game. We're in the second inning. 1 out, nobody on, and back to the top of the order, Nick Swisher. He singled to lead off the Yankees' first inning and scored the first of 4 runs in that opening frame. Swisher, of course, originally came up with the Oakland Athletics, had some nice years with them, then came over to the Yankees and had his best season as a major leaguer last year. One of the real outgoing personalities in the game today. Fun guy to be around.
You're not kidding about that, Tom. In fact, Nick Swisher and I go back to the days when he was about 13 months old. His dad and I were teammates in San Diego, and you talk about a little toddler that was all over the place. Man, this kid had some energy.
He's still like a little toddler all over the place.
He has not changed one bit. The #1 pick out of Ohio State. Two and two. His dad went to your old school. Yep. Ohio University.
We were talking about his dad the other night when Bob Brenly was in town.
Real fine receiver. I love throwing to Steve Swisher.
Of course, he was a minor league manager for a long time. 2-strike fastball fouled away.
A little better pace, it seems like, this inning for Travis Wood. He's mixed up a couple of off-speed pitches. He struck Nova out on a changeup. He's thrown an off-speed pitch in this at-bat to Nick Swisher. If you're Wood, you've got to mix him up. His fastball is hittable. You've got to be able to locate it and use that changeup. Like that.
Now, when a left-hander is on the mound, Swisher has been batting in that leadoff spot, and they set down the guy who of late has been their most dynamic offensive player, and that's Brett Gardner. Down and in, 3-2. Well, you talk about a roll Brett Gardner is on.
Well, you're not kidding.
Last 51 games after a terrible first month, Gardner is batting nearly .360. There you see the split on Swisher, lefty and righty.
Yeah, batting right-handed. Well, what a hitter he is. So he's salivating when he finally sees a left-handed starter on the mound.
It's ball 4.
Hannigan wanted to know where the pitch was, not whether he went after it or not. I mean, you rarely see Ryan Hannigan stand up and turn around and look at the home plate umpire. Take another look at it. Our Fox Tracks liked it.
Now Curtis Granderson, he struck out swinging in the first inning. Swisher at first, 1 out in the New York second inning.
You like saying that, don't you? A New York second.
Never thought of it till you just brought it up.
All right.
And we only have a chance maybe for 2 more batters to use it.
It's the only thing I know faster than a New York minute.
1-0 on Curtis Granderson. In the air, straight away center field, and this one will stay in the yard.
Did not miss that by much.
2 out.
Well, the difference between a fly ball to center and a home run is about 1/4 of an inch. And he is on that pitch, and go back empty. His teammates will say, "Man, hang in there, just missed it."
So now Teixeira, who had a base hit into center field and scored in the first inning. He has Swisher at first base and 2 out. Breaking ball, strike 1.
Teixeira, Rodriguez, Cano. These guys will more often than not take the first pitch they see. Especially a breaking ball like that Travis Wood just dropped on him.
Rolling a diving play and gets a runner at second. Wow. What a play by Scotty Rowland. And that's the way the New York second comes to an end.
During today's game, Nick Blaylock from Taylor Mill, Kentucky, who currently is driving a 2007 Scion, will win a beautiful new Tundra. That one on display here at Great American Ballpark. Register for your chance to win an upcoming game by seeing your Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky Toyota dealer.
And get ready for Reds action 30 minutes before every game with Reds Live on Fox Sports Ohio. Everything you need to know about Reds baseball. Jim Day, Jeff Piecoro will be coming your way at 6:30 again tomorrow night. And we'll have the series finale an afternoon tilt on Wednesday. All right, Reds down 4-1. They bat in the second inning. And naturally, Scott Rowland leads off after that terrific play at third to end the top of the inning.
Well, here's the play we're talking about, Tom. Ends the inning right here. He comes up and he fires the second base, figuring it'd be much easier to get the runner going from first to second than to all the way across the infield. What some dandy glove work right there.
Broken bat roller back to the mound, and Nova throws out Rowland to begin the Reds' second inning. Chris Heisey making his 21st start of the year, including 5 of now the last 7 games. Went 1 of 3 in Saturday's loss, also hit by a pitch, and did not get an at-bat in the 2-1 win yesterday.
That's the curveball that we're talking about with Ivan Nova. And some scouts are wondering whether it's a curveball or a slider or a combination thereof. And it's a pitch that he's trying to get control of. There it is again, and not quite yet has he a good feel for it.
Dive by Rodriguez, and Heisey having a hard time staying on his feet. He's already fallen down once on a base hit to the outfield in the first inning.
Skates Heisey.
Of course, for a lot of younger fans, they never knew Alex Rodriguez as anything but a third baseman. Been over there so many years now since moving over from shortstop.
I'll tell you, I saw Alex Rodriguez play as a senior in high school for Westminster High School. Came up and played in Manatee County. And you talk about a man among boys. He looked about the same size and looked almost identical then as he does now. Of course, the whole ballpark was loaded with scouts. The Mariners ended up drafting him #1 and signing him. And I remember old Red Scout George Zerall was there. He was one of the guys who was instrumental in signing and getting Alex to play. But it wasn't a hard scouting job, I can tell you that.
That was a lot like watching Ken Griffey Jr. play at Moeller High School a number of years before that. Still 0-2 on Ryan Hannigan. 2 outs, nobody on. We're in the bottom of the second inning, and New York with a 4-1 lead. Reds 3 games over 500 going into play tonight. They're 2 behind the co-leaders, Milwaukee and St. Louis. And gone swinging is Hannigan. So 1-2-3 second for Nova. 4-1 Yankees in front.
going to have some more fans here tonight and stuff like that. But, no, I mean, whether you're playing, it doesn't matter who you're playing. You know, every game's equally important. And, you know, we're ready to play. And, yeah, they're a good team, and we're going to have to play well, but so are we. So we're ready to play.
Geico direct quote from Jay Bruce just before the series opener, first of 3 with the Yankees in town. And a 4-1 New York lead. Yankees scored all 4 of their runs in the very first inning against Travis Wood. And the man who knocked in their first run will lead off the third, Alex Rodriguez. When you look at the career numbers of Alex Rodriguez, and we gave you some of them earlier, but perhaps to really put it in perspective, he is the only player ever in the history of the game to hit at least 30 home runs and knock in 100 or more runs 14 times in his career. The next highest is 12. That one's in the air and playable, and foul ground for Joey Votto. 1 out. Think about that. 14 years of 30 or more homers and 100 or more runs batted in.
That's showing up to play. Oh.
3-time American League Most Valuable Player. Of course, he had that monkey on his back for so many years about being able to, come up with a big hit in the postseason. But a couple of years ago, he finally threw that monkey off his back when the Yankees marched to their 27th World Championship. Strike 1 to Robinson Cano. Cano, meanwhile, surrounded by all of these great stars. And Chris, I thought you made a very interesting point when Cano came up for the first time tonight. This guy, some might tell you, is the best player in the American League. But when you look at guys that are around him on his own team, he's about the 4th or 5th guy you think of, I guess, unless you watch him play every day.
Well, there are some people that follow the Yankees around. I was talking to Paul O'Neill before the ball game, Tom, and he said, this guy's only batting, 295 right now, but he really is more like a 330 batter. And they're just not falling in for him, although that one found the hole. Lefty versus lefty. That's one area where Travis Wood has had a problem this year. He gets it right out of the end of the bat and is able to punch it through on the right side.
There you get a look at Paul O'Neill. Still makes his home here in the greater Cincinnati area and has since he played for the Reds. And now works about, 35, 40 Yankee telecasts a year. And obviously, in his hometown, he'll call all 3 games here. We're starting to talk about, though, Cano, and when you consider that he already has 400 career extra base hits and has done it in less than 947 games. You're talking about some of the biggest stars in the history of the game that have done it in fewer games than Cano. Guys like DiMaggio and Gehrig and Mantle. All the great players the Yankees had and have had. Cano, at least to start his career, not just in getting base hits but extra base hits, is running with all the big boys. There's another hit.
Well, I'd rather see 2 hits the way that Cano and Russell Martin have hit them, with ground balls that find holes rather than the line drives we saw in the first inning. This is the little better looking Travis Wood. He's using more off-speed pitches. He's getting the guys off balance a little bit. It seemed like in the first inning he was just trying to force that fastball, and quite frankly, he doesn't have enough fastball to do that.
Now Andrew Jones, he knocked in a run with a base hit into left center field his first time up. There's ball one. Well, these Yankee hitters, and really it has been for so long, and primarily due to the fact that year after year with their big payroll, they have a lot of veteran players. Case in point, a guy like Jones, who doesn't play very much, but has been around forever, had a great career, batting in the 7th spot in the lineup. And those guys tend to be a lot more patient at the plate. And here Wood is knocking on the door of 65 pitches. And he has just one out in the 3rd inning. Tapper down to 3rd. They've got a chance for 2. There's one. And that's a double play. And it appears either Jones wasn't running hard or he's hurt.
Oh, he was doing less than running hard. Let's hope for his sake he has a little something with his legs.
This season, that means another $25 from Shakely goes to the Reds Community Fund. Shakely, it's done. So the Reds get the double play. In the top of the 3rd inning, they trail by 3. It'll be Paul Giannis, Travis Wood, and Bruce Stubbs due up for Dusty Baker's team here against Ivan Nova.
Well, they really got some help from Andrew Jones on that double play ball, did they not? He stayed in the ball game. Gene Monahan and Joe Girardi, the trainer and the manager, both went out to talk to him after I can't even say he jogged down the line. I mean, I'd look for a golf ball out of bounds faster than that. You know, it's got to remind you, Tom, and many people who've watched Andrew Jones over the year, that the day that Bobby Cox pulled him out of a ball game right in the middle of the game for not hustling. Sent somebody out to take his spot. Well, maybe he's got a tweak in his leg.
I mean, doesn't there have to be? I mean, there's no way that he.
I couldn't fathom that.
Yeah, there's got to be something. He's just telling the trainers, no, I'm all right. Paul Giannis, there's a bouncing ball to the second baseman. One out to begin the 3rd inning. After the Reds had runners at 1st and 3rd with nobody out in the 1st inning, Nova got down to business. He induced Joey Votto on a double play ball. Yes, Drew Stubbs did score, but you went from 1st and 3rd, nobody out, heart of the order coming up, to a run in, 2 out, and nobody on. And that started a stretch of now 6 in a row set down by the Yankee right-hander. 0-2 on Travis Wood.
And he's beginning to get his curveball working too. That's a good one.
shortstop Nunez. And they're 2 away quickly in the Reds' 3rd inning.
Hey, Reds fans, if you're in the restaurant industry, let JTM Food Group help you with great tasting products for your menu, inspired solutions, and better results. JTM.
Right now, Drew Stubbs, he led off the Reds' 1st inning with a single in the center field, stole 2nd. Advanced to 3rd on a base hit by Phillips, scored on the double play from Votto. It's the only Reds run so far tonight. Ball 1. Looked like a little bit of a hanger right there that Nova got away with. Pitch it really never moved a lot. Stubbs swung right through it. 1 ball and 2 strikes. And Nova very quick to the plate. 2-2.
Hey, one thing he does, if you've seen him every time he gets ahead of a Reds hitter and Russell Martin wants the ball out of the zone, climb the ladder, down and away, he gets it way out there. He's not making any mistakes inside the strike zone. Pitching away from danger.
Check swing and a miss, and Stubbs is going to reach first base safely.
I saw a few of those over the weekend. Went to a 15U tournament out in Hamersville, Ohio. Mike Daly's complex out there. You ever been out there to see that play?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. What a great place for a youth baseball. 8 fields, all lit, fishing ponds for the kids, batting cages everywhere, and a lot of drop third strikes and runners making it to first base.
Well, now you get an extra out in the inning. We'll see if the Reds can take advantage of it. Brandon Phillips singled into right field his first time up. And Stubbs stole second base rather easily back in that 1st inning. We'll see if he's running again. Nova certainly thinks he might be.
Yeah, he may have been there. A little hesitation right there. He had to figure that they're going to throw over at least once. More than likely, it's Tony Pena, the bench coach for the Yankees, calling the signs defensively to have Nova throw over. Maybe a pitch out in the offing here. So they got all sorts of signs, and the idea is to take the pressure off the pitcher rather than have to decide yourself whether you should throw over, step off, do a slide step. They call those from the bench. Long-time, very fine Major League catcher Tony Pena.
Breaking ball in the outside corner, a strike.
Now, there was the one that Phillips was willing to give. What you hope for here, if you're Brandon Phillips, is that you're guessing fastball, thinking that they'll throw fastball in trying to shut down Drew Stubbs at second base. These coaches and scouts, they work so hard trying to find one little thing every pitcher does to give himself up. What does he do when he throws home? What does he do when he throws to first base?
Stubbs running, and it's fouled away. But now Phillips in an 0-2 hole. Stubbs leads at first base. And a check swing on a pitch in the dirt. They appealed and nothing doing, says DJ Rayburn. Told you Marvin Hudson behind the plate. Rayburn at first. Our good buddy from Tech Talk, Ted Barrett, out at second base, and Tim McClellan, the umpire, down at third. You had Ted on tonight.
Yeah, we did. The definition of what constitutes a fair and foul ball. Sounds easy. But the way he presented it, very, very interesting. You can log on to foxsports.com and check it out. Make that foxsportsohio.com.
Well, they should have it on foxsports.com as well.
Fish around a little bit, you'll find it.
1-2 the count on Brandon. Started 2 again, and again they appeal, and again Rayburn says no, he did not.
Hey.
2-2 now on Brandon Phillips. We'll see if Stubbs is running on his 2-2 pitch. He's not. And it's ball 3. We know he's running now 3-2. Well, you'd love to have Votto have a chance to get to the plate here in the 3rd inning, representing a tying run.
And you wonder how much of this ball 3 count that Brandon Phillips has run himself into is due to Drew Stubbs at first base. Maybe distracting Ivan Nova just a little bit.
Over the pause, a look over his shoulder, and now the 3-2 pitch. And it's line foul.
Well, it looks like the Yankee strategy is just to simply pitch Brandon Phillips away. I mean, every pitch so far that he has seen in this ball game has been either on the outer part of the plate or missing down and away.
Three balls, 2 strikes again on Brandon Phillips, and again Stubbs takes off, and there's a fly ball driven into deep left center field, and Jones got turned the wrong way initially, but then made the catch to retire the side. A man left. 4-1 New York. Proudly serving America's restaurants, schools, retailers, and our military around the world. JTM Food Group. By your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. And by Blue Rhino. Ready to grill? Visit bluerhino.com. What has turned into an absolutely perfect weather night in downtown Cincinnati. Next to zero humidity. Temperatures extremely comfortable in the mid-70s. And a sellout crowd on hand at Great American Ballpark for the first of 3 with the Yankees in town. New York scored 4 in the first. Reds got 1 back in the bottom of the inning. Yankees already with 4 runs, 7 hits. They have 8 base runners in the first 3 innings. 8, 9, and 1 for Travis Wood, who needs an easy inning here in the 4th. not going to be an easy inning.
Well, they found some holes the Yankees have. They've also hit the ball hard, no question about it. And that pitch, when it's up around here, you're going to get that ball hit. It was on the ground and just happened to find the hole, that 5.5 hole between third base and shortstop. Now we'll find out if Ivan Nova can bunt.
Pulled away, quick throw down there, and Phillips sneaking in behind the runner Nunez.
The scouting report has been filed on that. Tim Nairn works for the New York Yankees as one of their advanced scouts and special advisors, and he sees a lot of Reds games, and over the last few years he has seen that play where on a sacrifice bunt Phillips, the second baseman, will sneak in behind the runner at first and try to pick him off when the batter bunts through the ball.
Tim Nairn, of course, for a number of years worked in the Reds organization.
Yeah, he was instrumental in the development of a lot of the players that you see on the field right here. Stubbs, Giannis, Jay Bruce, Travis Wood, Ryan Hannigan, a whole handful of them. He's actually got a better swing, Nova does, than a bunt.
Leadoff man aboard here in the New York fourth inning. 1-1 the count on Nova, who again shortens up on the bat and bunts it foul.
Yeah, you stay out of the double play that way. And I think that's probably the thinking of Joe Girardi. He may have just missed a sign on the second one.
But now the 1-2 pitch coming on Nova. And it's bunted in the air, out of play, strike 3. All right, Chris, you were on quite a roll during our swing out west, our AT&T trivia question tonight. Will it continue?
Let's see if the questions are any easier. Who are the only 2 active managers to win a World Series title as a player and as a manager? 2 active managers who win a World Series title as a player and manager.
I know the answer to that one for a change.
I know one of them for certain. I know both of them.
Told you, you've been on a roll.
Yeah.
Nick Swisher, 1-on, 1-out. They had the runner picked off.
Now that's the advantage of not being able to get the bunt down as a defensive team. Now they're going to try to put something in motion right there. And Eduardo Nunez leaning towards second base after the strikeout of the pitcher. Now you have Travis Wood looking at a possible easy inning.
All right, so now he works out of his regular windup. He's already facing the Yankee leadoff hitter Nick Swisher for the 3rd time tonight. We're just in the 4th inning. Swisher has singled, scored, and drawn a walk. Although I think if you were to ask Swisher, perhaps after the game, not on record necessarily, he'll tell you he was probably rung up on strike 3 in that 2nd inning. To the Yankees right fielder Nick Swisher, and right down the middle, a called strike to even the count. Reds will have Votto, Bruce rolling. They hope more than that come to bat in the bottom of the 4th inning against Ivan Nova. Yankees with a 4-1 lead in the 2-2 pitch is, oh, it looked like the umpire was ready to ring him up.
Fox Tracks look. Tough to take.
Look to the left side, and Giannis the bobble. The throw still in time, and that'll end the inning. A hit. Nobody left. Middle of the fourth. Reds down 3. Homestand, a Slim Jim and Crunch and Munch, all for just $7. All that for just $7. The Kroger meal deal. We were over in your neck of the woods, a reopening of a Kroger store over in Alexandria.
Really?
A couple of days ago on Friday morning.
Pick up some Slim Jims over there. You look like a Slim Jim kind of guy.
I used to be a Slim Jim, and I'm turning into a not so Slim Jim. Joey Votto to lead things off here in the bottom of the fourth inning. Yankees with a 4-1 lead. Votto bounced into a double play his first time up. There's a rocket, but caught by Cano.
You hit it hard sometimes, it's right at him. This ball hooking anyway, and Cano's able to stick a glove up and make the play.
That'll bring up Jay Bruce. The Reds are looking for their first hit since the Brandon Phillips hit in the first inning, and Jay Bruce up there hacking early and often for a second time tonight. You know, it is so interesting when you look at the difference. You know, one team very young by and large, its core players, the Reds. Another team with guys that have been around 8, 10, 12, 15 years. And generally just the approach in their at-bats. I mean, you pointed out early in the game, the heart of the order, guys like Teixeira, Rodriguez, Cano, taking first pitches in the at-bat against guys they've never seen before.
Well, I think, Tom, you're also comparing. I mean, if you're comparing others to Reds players, most of the Reds players, the veterans anyway, guys like Scott Rowland, for the most part, Joey Votto, but are more veteran-type players. Bavado even hasn't been around all that long. I mean, when you compare him to Scherer and A-Rod.
Well, that's the point I'm making.
Yeah,
is that, the younger Reds players do not, the same sort of extended at-bats as some of the Yankee guys.
The veteran players seem to be much more comfortable taking a first pitch and not being too afraid of seeing that 0-1 pitch coming, as opposed to, jumping out there in that first pitch that you see, hoping or maybe thinking it's going to be the last fastball you see in that at-bat. I'd like to see Jay Bruce, and he's seeing the ball better as he has, throughout the month of May, not so much here in June. But be a little more patient. That's when he was much, much better in May, when he seemed to be more patient at the plate, kind of let the game come to him instead of being in a rush to make something happen.
Tell you one thing, this Nova, there is no fooling around out there on the mound. You watch enough American League baseball games, and especially the Yankee hitters in a game tonight. A lot of time in between pitches. Games tend to take a lot longer, and of course the DH has a lot to do with that. But umpires will even tell you, not necessarily the guys on this crew tonight, but umpires will tell you, they're working some of those American League East games where you have a lot of veteran players. You drag on 3.5, 4 hours nightly. There's a liner into left field, and the inning is over. So right through the heart of the order.
Decisions looming on the horizon for Cincinnati. Let's update you on three guys in particular. Tomorrow night, Aroldis Chapman moving up from Double-A. He will make an appearance tomorrow for Louisville, as will Homer Bailey. He will start for Louisville tomorrow, and Dusty was quoted before the game saying hopefully they can receive positive outings from these guys and we can make positive decisions. Also, Sam LeCure back with the team. They're building him back up to be that long relief guy. Through 3 innings on Saturday. The day after is always the key. He reported no ill effects yesterday, said he's ready to return. Now, I'll have much more on this subject on the Reds Live post-game show, but as we go back upstairs to the Champion Windows broadcast booth, if those outings go well tomorrow, the bullpen decisions are probably going to be fairly easy, but the starting pitching situation, that's a tough decision. You'll have 6 guys for 5 slots. Someone has to go.
All right, Jim Day, thank you very much. And really, Dusty Baker was quoted as saying, hey, look, this is really where we began spring training. When the Reds went to spring training this year, they had 6 guys vying for 5 spots in the rotation. And, of course, when they broke camp, it was Travis Wood who wound up making the team, although you wonder, would he have made the team or made the rotation anyway, or would it have been Mike Lee? But, of course, 2/5 of the rotation was hurt. Quaidon Bailey. So it opened the door. Definitive slots as Granderson grounds out to begin the inning for Lee, for Wood. But Chris, I don't know how anybody could make an argument that right now the decision would be really all that tough. If indeed you're going to make a change in the starting rotation, we know for sure it's not going to be Bronson Arroyo. It's not going to be Johnny Cueto. It's not going to be Edinson Volquez. You just brought him back up. And, you know, just based on the way that Mike Leake has pitched, I mean, this guy arguably outside of Cueto has been your second best pitcher.
Yeah, I think the advantage that the decision makers have, Tom, are that you're not trying to project what you see in March into May, June, and July. You're seeing it right here in live, real Major League Baseball. So it's what these guys have done when it counts. And that is so much more important than what you do, you know, when you're facing a Double-A lineup on the road in a B game at 10 o'clock somewhere down in Phoenix. So it's going to be a lot easier decision based on what they see to evaluate, at least easier to evaluate. Now, what decision they'll come to, I have no idea. Could be that it's not as simple as just sending somebody down to the minor leagues. They, you know, may use the disabled list. Maybe there's somebody hurting that we don't know about. Maybe they'll send somebody out to the bullpen and make a change in one of the bullpen pitchers. So there's a lot of options that those guys are going to make, and I'm sure that Walt Jocketty and his advisors will convene, and they'll get together with Dusty Baker and Brian Price and talk it all over and come up with their best plan.
And guys, it could be simply that whose day is it to go? Homer Bailey will pitch tomorrow night. Travis Wood goes tonight, with the off day coming up on Thursday for the Reds. I would match up right with Travis Wood's spot in the rotation.
Well, you know, the wild card thing and the whole picture is that, you know, when Homer Bailey's been out there, he has been very, very good. But he's not been out there for a prolonged period of time. Really, any time in his whole career, he has not that he can pitch 30 starts in the major leagues and stay healthy. So, you know, if whatever decision you make, whoever goes down, if that's the case, if they send someone down, chances are he's going to be back up at some point or another.
Well, Granderson and Teixeira retired by Wood to open the fifth inning. Yankees with a 3-run lead, all the scoring done in the very first inning tonight. And here's Alex Rodriguez. 1 of 2, knocked in a run with a single to left field in the first and later scored. Yankees at Great American Ballpark for the first time since 2003. Reds have played them well. The only 2 interleague series they've met. Reds won 2 out of 3 here in that 03 season. Reds beat them 2 out of 3 in 08, the final year of Yankee Stadium. And of course, we brought up earlier, they met in 3 World Series. There's a roller foul all the way back in 1939. Yankees in a 4-game sweep. And then again in 1961. And the Reds had that 4-0 sweep dominating the Yanks in the 1976 World Series, where Johnny Bench was the most valuable player of that World Series. Reds allowed a total of 8 runs in that series against the Yankees. Outscored them 22-8. And here's strike 3 to A-Rod. So a 1-2-3-5, first of the night for Wood. Reds have some catching up to do, down by 3. Through the gates of Great American Ballpark Saturday, July the 2nd. A Dusty Baker bobblehead giveaway, courtesy of the Ohio Lottery. That'll be the Reds and the Indians in the Battle of the Buckeye State on July the 2nd, to Saturday afternoon. Well, there's everything we just told you about that '76 World Series. Interesting to know that was the first World Series that ever utilized a designated hitter. That is an interesting note. And of course, the late great Thurman Munson, pride of Kent State University, was Munson. Played on the same college team as former Cy Young Award winner Steve Stone, both at Kent State. Boy, Mr. Nova throwing a pile of strikes. He allowed back-to-back hits to Stubbs and Phillips in the first inning. Reds had him on the corners with nobody out. He got Votto to bounce into a double play, which allowed the only Reds run to score. And he has not allowed a hit since. And that's his third strikeout of the night. All right, we answer our AT&T trivia question. Who is it, Chris? The two managers before he put it up.
All right, I would say Joe Girardi.
Yep.
And Lou Piniella.
No.
I'm wrong with Piniella. Mike Scioscia. I thought I had it.
The key was active managers. Lou
You're right
Piniella
about
did
that.
it. But, of course, no longer an active manager. 3 straight. And 4 overall with Girardi in a Yankee uniform. Of course, he began his career with the Chicago Cubs. It is amazing to look back on that 1996 New York Yankees team when Buck Showalter led that 95 club to the playoffs, that lost in that best-of-5 opening round series to the Seattle Mariners. That's when Ken Griffey Jr. raced all the way around and scored. Showalter immediately left, hired 2 years ahead of time by the Arizona Diamondbacks. And Joe Torre was hired as manager of the Yankees, and you want to talk about the press blowing up and ripping into George Steinbrenner and the Yankees for hiring Joe Torre as manager. Well, it turned out to be a pretty good move.
Sure did.
Joe Girardi came over. That first Joe Torre team. Joe Torre, by the way, is here tonight. He'll be here the next 3 games, coming off shoulder surgery recently. Of course, his wife and her entire family are from right here in Cincinnati, still make their home here. One and 2 on Ryan Hannigan. Now, you want to talk about odd. You walk down to the Yankee clubhouse, and Joe Torre is walking around in a shirt and tie.
And a sling.
Yeah, and a sling.
What a class act.
No question.
Always has been. Now, of course, works for Major League Baseball.
Routine 1 hopper. And his Nova is chewing him up and spitting him out.
Well, he's mixing his pitches up so well. That a fastball followed a curveball and followed a previous pitch fastball. You know, anytime you get a young pitcher like this, and Nova's 24 years old. He's only in his 2nd year as a major league pitcher. And you start making easy outs, he forgets all about how small this ballpark is. He forgets all about the highlights that he sees every night of balls just flying on out of here. And he starts pitching aggressively. Throwing his breaking ball down in the count, coming right after the hitters at the fastball, and then he becomes a real tough guy to beat.
And there's a 2-out base hit into center field by Giannis. Well, the first hit for the Reds since the first inning.
Paul Giannis grounded out to the second baseman first time up. This time he takes it right back through the box.
Now Travis Wood, he hit the ball very hard right at the shortstop Nunez, his only at bat tonight. Started 2 and they appeal. He didn't go around. 0-1 to Travis Wood, who only has 2 hits all year, but one of them a home run. A ball and a strike on Travis Wood. We're in the bottom of the 5th inning. 4 runs, 8 hits for New York. 1 run, 3 hits for the Reds.
Well, Alex Rodriguez had moved back about 5 or 6 paces behind the bag at third base, opening up an opportunity for Travis Wood to lay one down. And he bunted right through it. May want to try it again. Just get the bunt down first and then run. You'll be in there easy.
Strike 3 called, that'll in the inning. Reds get a hit, leave a man. We go to the 6th, 4-1. Yankees in front. Arizona for the summer's biggest event. Fox brings you every thrilling moment of the 2011 All-Star Game. Tuesday, July the 12th, live from Phoenix. 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, only on Fox. We'll take a look at the National League Central Division standings presented by Honda. St. Louis with the night off. Milwaukee at home against Tampa Bay. And through the first inning, a 1-0 Rays lead. Of course, the Cardinals continue to just be ravaged by injuries. The really sad news of Albert Pujols, a broken bone in his left arm after a collision on an errant throw at first base yesterday against Kansas City. And he'll be out anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks. I mean, it's really amazing the injuries the Cardinals have had this year.
Yeah.
I mean, the key players, they're starting first base, second base, third base, left fielder on the disabled list.
Their best pitcher.
Adam Wainwright. In the air, left field. Heisey drifting back and makes a nice running play in front of the wall. 1 pitch, 1 out for Travis Wood here in the 6th with the Yankees leading 4-1.
I guess we ought to congratulate Jack McKeon.
Indeed we do.
Getting the job as manager at 80 years old of the Florida Marlins. Greater Jack back in the saddle again.
I think it's a great move.
I do too.
I mean, I'm very surprised there wasn't another team that hired him as their manager after he decided to leave the Marlins the last go around.
Well, from what I hear, and I've not verified this, Tom, but I heard a story today that when he took over, Hanley Ramirez was late for a team meeting and Jack promptly benched him. That's what he is known for. That and of course that cigar and making some trades as a GM. You just think about how baseball has changed since Jack McKeon was first name manager of the Kansas City Royals back in 1973.
73.
I mean, that's when he had a 29-year-old outfielder named Lou Piniella playing for him. kid, John Mayberry Sr., playing for him. Of course, John Mayberry Jr. now playing for the Philadelphia Phillies. It was when the DH was being tried for the first time. He will be at 80 years old, the second oldest manager in history, next to Connie Mack.
I believe Connie Mack, if I'm not mistaken, was 86 years old the final year he managed.
He was the last manager, I think, to manage in a suit and tie. So there's still hope for you.
Every night I wear one, you have one on too, big boy. 2-1 the count on Russell Martin.
Now, even you want to put it in even more perspective for Jack McKeon. Think about when he first signed. He never played in the major leagues, but his first minor league contract was in 1949. The average major league salary then was $13,000. And the average major league franchise was worth $2.5 million. For what you're paying A-Rod, you get 10 major league franchises.
Amazing. In 1 year.
Yeah.
Three and two the count on Russell Martin. Grounded foul.
You know, it looks to me like Travis Wood is pitching. I mean, after that first inning when he seemed to be forcing the fastball, now he may have fallen into the same trap that you say scouts told you when they saw the Cubs play the Yankees in Chicago over the weekend, that the Cubs pitchers were pitching scared. You know, maybe he was doing the same thing, afraid to throw anything but the fastball, but he's really mixed his pitches up well in the meantime. Unfortunately, the Reds have been unable to do anything against nobody.
Strike three called. Fastball knee high inside edge. That's 5 strikeouts now for Wood.
Now, he threw a lot of pitches in the first inning, 34 of them overall, but since that time, as we mentioned, right under control. 95 of them now here in the 6th with 2 out.
Pulled foul by Andrew Jones, 1 of 2 in the game. Knocked in a run with a single in the 4-run first. Bounced into a double play in the 3rd.
Well, he will still spin on that pitch on the other part of the plate. Got away with that one.
Yeah, that's a ball about 4 or 5 years ago. Would have been up above that Scott sign. All right, top of the order coming up. Reds down 3. Can. The move of Travis Wood. Eduardo Nunez was already starting to go, and that's about as easy as it gets. So Wood 5 scoreless innings on just 3 hits since the 4-run 5-hit Yankee first. And that was our Coors Light Freeze Can, brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. All right, a very, very big inning now for the Reds. You have the top of the order coming up here in the bottom of the 6th inning. You're down by 3. Stubbs a single, a stolen base, a run scored in the first. Struck out but reached on a wild pitch in the third. Talked about Wood right around the 100 pitch mark, thanks in large part to that first inning. And here's Nova, strike after strike after strike all night long. Has not even reached 70 pitches yet.
Yeah, I really like about this young man, Tom, is the fact that he doesn't really look like he's giving 100% effort on every pitch. Just nice and smooth out there. He's found a nice release point on that breaking ball. We told you from the early on that that was an important pitch for him. If he's able to get that curveball over on those games, he's been very tough.
0-2 on Stubbs. Breaking ball low. Now, Nova went to spring training knowing he would get a legitimate chance to make the Yankee rotation. They had brought in a couple of veterans. Freddie Garcia, Bartolo Colon. We'll see Garcia in this series. We were supposed to have seen Colon tomorrow night, but he is now out of their rotation injured. We'll get a look at Brian Gordon tomorrow. Garcia on Wednesday. This man, Ivan Nova, despite his youth, a 6-game winner already this year with an ERA slightly under 4.5 in the AL East. 2-2 on Stubbs. If you're a rookie pitcher in the American League East and you have 6 wins by the 20th of June with an ERA of under 4.5, you are pitching very, very well. Nowhere close to that pitch away with Stubbs, and that's strikeout number 5 for Nova. The summer is here, and fixing up the house may be on your to-do list. If you'd like to win a home improvement gift card right now and help out, we'll log on to FoxSportsOhio.com. Enter the 100 Days of Summer Sweepstakes, presented by the Ohio Department of Public Safety. Well, you had the top of the order coming up, and just like that, Stubbs and Phillips retired.
Well, overall, so far in interleague play, the American League has simply dominated. The Indians are 6-0. The Mariners are 5-1. The Angels, Red Sox, White Sox, Yankees, Rays are all 4-2. The top National League team is the Arizona Diamondbacks. They're 4-2. Reds and Padres are down among the bottom. The Padres are 0-6, and the Reds are 1-5, looking for their second interleague win. Overall, the American League is 150, and National League is 134.
And most of that occurred really over this past weekend. Because after the initial round of interleague play, very brief series for everybody, it was pretty much a wash. But boy, over the weekend, I mean, outside of the Cardinals series where they beat Kansas City 2 out of 3, Yankees beat the Cubs 2 out of 3, Boston beat Milwaukee 2 out of 3. Tapper off the plate. This guy is making it look real easy against a good Reds hitting team. brought to you by AT&T. By Cincinnati Children's, which ranks 3rd in the nation on U.S. News and World Report's honor roll for Best Children's Hospitals 2011. By your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Honda dealers. And by Wendy's. You know when it's real. Along the banks of the mighty Ohio. Opening game of this 3-game series at Great American Ballpark, to the Yankees with a 4-1 lead. Travis Wood out there to begin the 7th inning. He gave up 4 runs on 5 base hits in the New York first. And since then, he has shut him out on 3 hits. One of those 3 by the man who will lead things off, number 8 hitter in the lineup, Eduardo Nunez. Of course, the Yankees very high on the future of Nunez. Great potential. But of course, he has been stuck the last couple of years behind the Yankee captain. Of course, is currently injured, closing on 3,000 career hits, Derek Jeter. But you know, you look at this Yankee team, and we talked about the St. Louis Cardinals. Well, when you look at the Yankee club and all they've been through this year, they've used a disabled list 13 times. They've lost the 2nd most days to the disabled list among all teams in the American League, second only to Texas. Derek Jeter is out. 2 of their key starters, Bartolo Colon and Philip Hughes, out for a long time. Valuable member off their bench, Eric Chavez, out. Their 2 primary setup guys in front of Mariano Rivera, out. You saw Nick Swisher. Here he is batting in a leadoff spot for only the 2nd time in 3 years. They have 3 players regularly playing that are hitting under .230. And a pitcher who's getting an at-bat every night that virtually has never had an at-bat. Case in point, over here tonight. And yet, they just keep on rolling. 12 games over 500. Gone swinging is Novin. The first 2 retired here in the 7th inning. You know, the easiest thing in the world to do, and I'm guilty of it, Chris, everybody's guilty of it, is, you know, point at their payroll in excess of over $200 million. And, you know, all the guys are paying the big money, too. But a lot of those guys haven't been playing a whole lot. Now, Granderson, Alex Rodriguez, though playing through an injury, Teixeira and Cano. Those guys have been performing, really performing. Yes. But outside of that, you know, you're mixing and matching at least one spot in your outfield. Brett Gardner has really come on strong. We brought that up earlier. Got a rookie at short. Russell Martin coming back from a broken hip as their regular catcher. They got a guy pitching tomorrow night who they picked off the Philadelphia Phillies AAA roster, right? Who's now in their rotation. One and 2 on Swisher.
Well, you know, Tom, it really boils down to if the superstars that you sign and that you're paying huge bucks to play baseball play the way they have played on the back of their baseball card, you're going to win games. So Joe Girardi has those superstars that you just mentioned, you know, Granderson and A-Rod and Teixeira and Cano and so on, and with a couple of real good pitchers and Mariano at the end of the bullpen, and it's been a good formula for him.
In the air left field, and Travis Wood retires the final 11 he faces. Of course, we don't know for sure if he's out of this game, but they stand and stretch, and the Yankees have a 3-run lead.
by authority of the Cincinnati Reds. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Place to be this baseball season, the Kroger Bleachers at Great American Ballpark, where the ticket prices start at just $8. And for additional savings, plan a group outing of 25 or more. The Kroger Bleachers, a spot to be. Reds trail 4-1. They bat against Ivan Nova here in the bottom half of the 7th inning. Brett Gardner has taken over in left field for Andrew Jones. Jay Bruce to lead it off. And it's up and in, 2-0.
Well, the Reds have really had a hard time scoring, Tom, not only tonight, but in this homestand. They've played 32 innings in this homestand, and they've scored a run in only 4 of those 32 innings, a total of 5 runs overall. So you've got to get just outstanding pitching just to be in a ball game. Take, for instance, yesterday's ball game with Bronson Arroyo. Took a 2-run home run by Miguel Cairo to be able to get that ball game won.
1 out. Jay Bruce 0 for 3 tonight. And now Scott Rowland, who's bounced to the mound and lined out to Jones in left field. You almost wonder if that's a new Boston Red Sox scout there behind home plate. Is that a Boston hat he has on there?
This guy right here that we're going to erase. I like him better like that, actually. I mean, when you have a telestrator, I guess you're free to erase.
I mean, take a look at this guy. I mean, he's like he's the umpire back there. I believe that's a Boston cap he has on.
It is a Boston cap.
So, I mean, the Yankees and the Red Sox, they'll go to all lengths to get a first-hand scouting report on their rival. The only thing he needs to write down tonight is this has been as dominant a game against the Reds as they have seen by any pitcher this year. Now, yeah, they have a run. They have only 3 base hits. But the Reds have not even squared many balls up tonight.
Now, how do you know he just doesn't want to be on TV?
I don't know. Well, he dialed in back there.
Yeah, he is. He's got that scout's eye working.
He does.
I actually like him a little better when he's erased.
Boy, you've seen 2 at-bats here in this inning. Nova's fallen behind 2-0. First to Jay Bruce. Swings and fouls it off to the third base side. 2-0 here on Heisey. Swings and fouls it off to the first base side. This guy is just avoiding any hard contact by and large all night long, well, even on foul balls.
He has what a good scout will say. Hitters are behind his fastball and they're out in front of his breaking ball. He's got the hitters exactly where he wants them, just off stride completely. Even on that pitch, it nearly hits Chris Heisey. Check swing for strike 3.
Well, that Yankee scout now is getting the Red Sox scout will be on the walkie-talkie, letting them know about Nova back in Beantown. Alex Rodriguez at Yankee Stadium. Career home run number 600. Well, and there are not many guys in that club. Take a look at the names. Aaron, Ruth, the Sehey kid, Junior, A-Rod, and Sammy. That's it. 7 of them all time. 600 or more home runs. Jose Arredondo takes over on the mound for Travis Wood, who was brilliant over his final 6 innings after giving up 4 runs and 5 hits in the first inning. $41,173 in attendance here tonight. Sellout crowd at Great American Ballpark. Don't know if either of the next 2 games are officially sold out. I'm sure there are tickets still remaining. So check it out at Reds.com. Or you call right now, 381-REDS. Operators are standing by. Arredondo to face Granderson, Teixeira, and Rodriguez. Very important outs here for Arredondo. Reds are still in this game despite the fact that they managed only 3 hits. And 2 of those came the first 2 batters of the night. Two on Granderson. A quiet night for him so far. He struck out, fly to center, and grounded out to Joey Votto. Tampa Bay still leading Milwaukee 1-0. That game in the bottom of the 4th inning. We told you the Cardinals are off. They will not play interleague baseball during this week. They'll be back at it over the weekend, but during this week they'll be going toe-to-toe with the Philadelphia Phillies.
Yeah, a lot of people who looked at the Reds schedule in interleague play and said, hey, the Reds have to play the Yankees. They go down to Tampa Bay to play the Rays. And the Cardinals aren't playing either the Boston Red Sox nor the Yankees, but they do play the Philadelphia Phillies in 2 series this year out of the division instead of just once.
And there is a leadoff walk by Arredondo. Unfortunately for him, that has become a habit.
Well, that's one of the problems with having your second pitch, your most favorite pitch, and your out pitch being a splitter. It's really not a pitch that is meant to be a strike. You hardly ever throw it behind in the count and get a pitcher to swing at it or a hitter to swing at it because it's a strikeout pitch. It's a pitch that you use when you're ahead. So he's got to establish the fastball, and this is a very tough ball club to establish the fastball against.
Arredondo's last 4 innings that he has pitched out of the Reds bullpen, including that walk a moment ago. 7 walks in the 4+ innings. Granderson with 10 steals. He's been thrown out 6 times. Teixeira 1 of 3 and a single and a run scored in the first inning. Well, here again is where these Yankees, I mean, they make you earn it, boy. New pitcher comes into the game. They're going to make the guy throw strikes, prove that he can throw strikes. They're not going to chase anything out of the zone. A leadoff walk to Granderson. Now 2-0 on Teixeira. Not a fastball, but a good fastball by Arredondo down in the strike zone, and Teixeira waves through it.
That may have been down and out of the strike zone. He may have been so anxious to get that fastball. He swung at a pitch that was a little bit too low for him.
3-1 on to Shera. Runner goes, pitch taken, strike, throw to second.
Oh!
And Giannis dropped the ball. You know, you hate to bring it up, but the numbers just simply don't lie. This will be an error, I'm sure, charged to Paul Giannis. Now, you know, you look at the defense of the shortstop position. We know the Reds are not getting much offense. But quite frankly, the defense has been disappointing at times as well. That is 15 errors out of the Reds shortstop position this year.
That's a gimme right there. I mean, he was out from here to yesterday. And that's a good pitch by Arredondo to finally get Teixeira out. He just must have just taken his eye off the ball. The shame of that is that it'll go down as a stolen base and then an error on the shortstop to get the runner to third. That was a perfect throw by Ryan Hanigan.
So a runner at third, 1 out in the inning, and here's Alex Rodriguez, who knocked in the Yankees' first run of the night with a 1-out single in the left field and scored Nick Swisher. Strike 1 from Arredondo. Nothing in 2. Here's the 0-2 pitch, and it gets through the wickets. Here comes a run, and the Yankees have tacked on a run of their lead. This is as ugly as it gets.
Yeah, that is exactly right. This is just plain ugly. The Yankees didn't tack one on. The Reds gift wrapped it for him. A walk. What should have been out at second base. The runner goes to third, and then this one goes right through the legs of Ryan Hanigan. You know, you see two things in this inning that you don't normally see out of these guys up the middle. Paul Giannis making a play like he did, and Ryan Hanigan letting a ball go through his legs. Dusty Baker can't do anything but wonder what the heck has happened. It's back to a 4-run lead.
The interesting thing about the Reds, as far as, you know, we know they are an outstanding defensive team. What is particularly interesting is 2 positions, shortstop, and strangely enough, the pitching staff have accounted for 20 of the 38 errors the Reds have made as a team so far this year. There's a base hit into center field by Alex Rodriguez. I mean, you'd have lost a lot of money on that bet that sitting here on June the 20th, if somebody would have told you, you know, the Reds defensively were going to have, what now, 39 errors as a club, and 20 of the 39 would come from shortstop and the pitcher spot.
You're right about that.
Well, now Alex Rodriguez is going to be taken down for a pinch runner. Ramiro Pena will come on the run for A-Rod.
Well, don't pin it all on the pitchers, though, because, you know, looking at the stat sheet now, it looks like the pitchers have made only 5 errors.
Well, that's what I'm saying, between the two. But I mean, the pitcher spot's not where you see necessarily a lot of errors. I mean, the pitchers have made as many errors, or they've made almost twice as many errors combined as Jay Bruce has made by himself in right field.
Well, it's a lot harder to field your position at first base than it is in right field. I mean, it's a harder position to field in the middle of the diamond than it is playing right.
Yeah, but I would bet a lot of money that no more than one of those errors have come fielding a ground ball. Talking about throwing errors on pickoff attempts.
Oh, I agree.
Errant throws.
Yeah. All those plays you don't have to make when you play right.
True. True.
But I see your point. It just stings right now when you see the action that we've seen in this inning, a gift-wrapped run.
Well, I guess the point is that as a position is concerned on the field, you have 8 players, position players. The only position that has more errors than the pitcher's position on the entire club is shortstop. There's a double play that'll end the inning. But a big run. And it is a 5-1 Yankee lead. Game. What a play by Rowland to end the second inning on a hot smash from Mark Teixeira. A 5-1 ball game as the Reds come to bat in the bottom of the 8th inning. And we talked about the Reds offensively, not just over the weekend, but even dating back to the last road trip. Of course, in San Francisco, you're going to have a hard time scoring runs. I don't care who you are playing in that ballpark against that staff. One pitch and one out for Ivan Nova, who has only allowed 1 base hit since the first 2 batters of the game. A single by Stubbs, a single by Phillips. Reds scored on a double play ball, and their only other hit since then was Paul Giannis with a 2-out single in the 5th inning.
Well, he's throwing strikes. He's not walked the batter. The only other base runner the Reds have had is that strikeout wild pitch that Drew Stubbs went to first base on. He was stranded there. Talking to some scouts before this ball game about Ivan Nova, and a lot of guys like him. They think that he'll be around for a long time. For a young man, only 24 years old, shows a lot of poise on the mound. Of course, he gets a fair amount of run support.
Well, they got a guy in their bullpen who's roughly the same age, a little bit younger, Hector Noesi, who's working out of the pen, but eventually he'll be a part of the Yankee rotation. And there's some that like him even better than Nova. Fred Lewis in the on-deck circle. And he would bat for Arredondo.
Well, if you're going to miss, not a bad place to do it.
Nice play by the man on the mound. And they're 2 away in the inning. Well, don't forget, tonight after the game and every night after every Reds game, stick around on Fox Sports Ohio for Reds Live. Brought to you by Kings Honda and the Kings Auto Mall. Visit KingsHondaUSA.com. Just to clarify a point, not to belabor the point. We were talking about the Reds defense this year, and I made the comment that the pitching staff had only made 5 errors so far this year. That's on the current roster they haven't made up as with guys that have at bats. The pitching staff as a whole has committed 9 errors so far this year,
which is 3 more than the average team in the major leagues. The Athletics have 13. The Reds are ranked 4th. They're tied with the Giants. The Cubs, Yankees, Pirates, Padres, Rangers all have 8. So that 9 errors isn't way out of whack.
Base hit into center field.
But it's certainly an area that, if it contributes to a run, you'd like to tidy it up a little bit.
Lewis a pinch hit single. Lewis swung the bat well over the weekend.
And on the trip.
Of course, he faced his club from a year ago, the Toronto Blue Jays. And Lewis had 2 hits and 3 at-bats, including a double, also walked. He walked as a pinch hitter on Saturday and had a hit in his only at-bat on Friday night after getting 2 hits and 3 at-bats in a series finale out west against the Dodgers. To Stubbs, who singled, stole a base, scored in the first, has struck out swinging twice since. Although in the third inning, he was able to reach base when the ball got away from the catcher, Russell Martin. Well, there's still some giddy up to that Nova fastball here in the 8th inning. That went at 93 miles per hour in on his hands.
You know, but what you even like better than the velocity is that he doesn't look like he's throwing 93. He's nice and easy, long armed, and all of a sudden, pow! That ball's on you. And he combines it tonight with a real good curveball. Nice, a couple of changeups worked in. And throwing a lot of strikes.
Nova up over 100 pitches now in the game. Despite all the injuries they've had in the Yankee bullpen, they very much like the final 2 pitchers they will bring in to close games out. You know all about Mariano Rivera, their closer. Stubbs can't believe he was rung up on that pitch. Might have a good gripe. So Nova 8 strong innings. He struck out 7. 5-1 New York lead. of the game in the 4-run Yankee first inning. This double by Robinson Cano made it 2-0. And put runners at second and third, where the Yankees scored on the ground out and another hit. And by the way, that double is the only extra base hit in this game.
Who would have thought that? With all the home runs the Yankees have hit and the potent offense the Reds have been showing, the number of runs that they put on the board, you'd think that this ballpark would have had some souvenirs out there in left and right field tonight. Carlos Fisher, game number 10 for this right-hander.
Of course, all three of those losses for Carlos came in 3 extra inning games, including that 19-inning marathon in Philadelphia. Russell Martin, the first pitch fly ball to center, 1 out. Andrew Jones, he knocked in the 4th and final run in that first inning. I beg your pardon, he'd been taken down for a defender in left field when Brett Gardner entered the game. We'll see Gardner in the lineup the next 2 days. He'll be leading off and playing in the outfield. Gardner, his last 14 games, has 8 multi-hit games. And we talked about the terrible start he had through the entire first month of the year. Well, over his last 51 games, he has been a .360 batter. What's interesting about Gardner, and Joe Girardi continues to, play Swisher, lead him off against left-handers, and Gardner, obviously a left-handed batter, against the right-handers. Yet Gardner has a .364 on base percentage this year against left-handers, and had a .373 on base percentage against left-handers last year. He got overmatched in that at bat, 2 out. Log on to Reds.com today. Vote for your favorite Reds players for the All-Star game. Remember, you can vote up to 25 times at Reds.com. You're looking ahead of the bottom of the 9th. Brandon Phillips will lead things off. He'll be followed by Votto and Bruce. The sellout crowd, by and large, has been silenced after a 4-run top of the first inning by the Yankees against Travis Wood.
And then when the Reds answered with a couple of hits to start the game off in the bottom of their first inning, you thought it was going to be one of those games, kind of a Donnybrook, where it'd be a lot of runs scored. But overall, it's been a very well pitched game for Ivan Nova. Travis Wood settled down. A lot of goose eggs on the board right now. Come for the Reds and stay for more fun. Enter to win the Cincinnati USA Getaway Package by visiting www.cincinnatiusa.com/Fox Sports.
We'll have our good friend Linda Antis in the booth with us, I believe, on Wednesday. Tony Stewart of NASCAR fame will be joining us tomorrow night up here in the booth.
Cool.
Of course, he'll be talking a lot about the first ever NASCAR race. It'll take place over at Kentucky Motor Speedway next month. Understand they've already sold well over 100,000 tickets for that event. There's strike 3 called. That'll end the inning. So the Reds retire the Yanks in order, come to bat in the bottom of the 9th, down 4. Reds play of the game. Mark Teixeira, that ball took a bad hop on him, and boy, he stayed with it. So you get Jay Bruce ending the first inning. $16 down to 8. The 8 greatest moments in Major League Baseball All-Star Game history going head-to-head to determine which is the most memorable. Go to MLB.com/moments and vote now for your favorite Midsummer Classic. And, of course, July 12th from Chase Field in Phoenix. The All-Star Game coverage on Fox at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Congrats all the way around for young Ivan Nova. Eight innings tonight, allows 4 hits. 1 run. Does not walk about her all night long in fan 7. He'll give way to Luis Ayala.
He started his career in Montreal back in 2003. Luis Ayala has always been a reliever. Has never started a game in the major leagues. He's worked his way from, of course, Montreal to Washington when the franchise moved there. A year in New York as a Met. A couple of years ago, spent time in Minnesota and in Florida, and this year signed a minor league deal with the Yankees. It was put on their big league roster right at the end of March. Having a pretty good year with a 1.1 earned run average in 18 games.
Brandon Phillips did not like that first pitch strike call by Marvin Hudson. Phillips 1 out of 3. Former Red Chris Dickerson takes over out in right field, replacing Nick Swisher. Dusty Baker talk about it for years and years and years. If you can stay within quote-unquote slam range, grand slam range. Reds are within slam range, but they have work to do. Base hit center field to begin the bottom of the ninth.
Well, Brandon Phillips has hit the ball hard 3 times tonight. Lined out to left field, picked up a base hit in the first inning, and here's one right back up through the middle for a base hit to start the ninth. So the fans that have stayed around, and there are a lot of them, are hoping for a Reds rally.
Well, they're going to bring in Boone Logan, left-hander, in their bullpen to face Votto and Bruce. This will be our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. We'll be back. MLB.tv. Baseball everywhere. Left-hander Boone Logan takes over on the mound.
He's a big guy, 6 feet 5 inches tall, 220 pounds. But you see the numbers on Logan. I mean, he is a left-handed relief specialist, yet he has given up a higher batting average to lefties than he has righties. The only home run he's allowed has been to a left-hander. He will face back-to-back lefties in Joey Votto and Jay Bruce.
Of course, Logan did not win many fans in the Bronx during the postseason last year. During the American League Championship Series, I mean, they were bringing him in to get Josh Hamilton out, and it didn't work.
But remember, even though you're going with a lefty on the mound, you're looking at two left-handed hitters the Reds have who excel in hitting left-handed pitching. In fact, they're among the tops in the National League in that category.
Joe Girardi not going to fool around just in case these left-handed batters can reach against Logan. He has a future Hall of Famer. His closer Mariano Rivera getting loose in the bullpen. Reds down 5-1. Leadoff man aboard to start the 9th inning. Hitting the back. First 2 on here in the ninth.
Well, Boone Logan is primarily a fastball pitcher. He can get it up there anywhere from 94 to 95 miles an hour when he's right. And he comes right inside and punks Joey Votto.
Well, you know what Joe Girardi's thinking? You know, am I even going to leave Logan in the face of left-handed batting Jay Bruce? He wants to know if Rivera's ready. That's his pitching coach, Larry Rothschild. And here comes Girardi, and that means he's not even going to fool around, it doesn't look like, or is he?
He's either going to make a pitching change right here or recite an ultimatum to his left-hander on the mound. He's quick with the hook. He was quick with the hook with Ayala. He's quick with the hook here with Boone Logan. One pitch, and he's out of the ball game. And we're going to see the Yankee soon-to-be Hall of Fame closer.
All right, 2 on, nobody out. Down 4, bottom of the 9th. Here comes Rivera. so, even though the Yankees are the road club here tonight. For arguably the greatest closer in the history of the game, undoubtedly the greatest closer in the history of the game in the postseason. And that's Mariano Rivera. 576 career saves, all as a Yankee. That's the most ever in the American League, second only to Trevor Hoffman. Hoffman with 601.
Well, remember what we told you at the very beginning of the ball game. The Yankees excel at putting runs on early in the game. They by far outscore their opponents in the first and second inning. The Reds are second in all of baseball in scoring in the ninth inning. And the fans are on their feet here at Great American Ballpark looking at Mariano Rivera in game 1008.
What a career. 2 on, nobody out. Reds down 4. We're in the bottom of the ninth. Jay Bruce has one career at bat against Rivera. That was a base hit.
Well, if you're facing Rivera, you think you're going to get that cutter. That was the last pitch he just threw Bruce. It starts at the middle of the plate, and before you know it, is on your thumbs if you're a left-handed hitter. There was a time that Mariano Rivera was dialing up there at 94 to 96 miles an hour with hard cutting action. His fastball's not quite as fast as it was. And a couple of years ago, he began to throw a two-seam fastball to get some of the hitters off of it. Off the cutter, that is.
There it was again. It's fouled away.
I mean, it looks so good. It's really hard to see on television. But if you get right behind the plate or in the batter's box, it's a different story. It looks like it's right down the center of the plate, and all of a sudden it is on your hands.
2 on, nobody out. 1 and 2 on Jay Bruce are coming in there again. And it tied him up. And they say he didn't go around. You're talking about all the saves for Rivera as you get another look.
You see the spin on that ball and the movement. Spirals like a football.
2 on and nobody out. 2-2 pitch. Same thing again. They appeal again, and again the verdict is no. Front foot, still 3 and 2. You know, we're talking about Rivera closing in on 600 career saves. Consider this. Since he's turned 35, he's now 41. Since he's turned 35, he has 223 of the saves and a 1.8 earned run average. That's in the last 6 years of his career. Still 3 and 2 on Bruce. I brought it up at the beginning of the inning. Said the Reds had work to do. And that order becoming even taller. With Rivera now in the game, but they're one base runner reaching away from a tying run coming to the plate. Broken bat roller. And Bruce retired for the 4th time tonight. 3 ground outs. And now a 4th to the right side of the infield for Bruce.
Well, you know you're going to get a strike, and you know it's going to be inside on you, and here it comes again. Looks like it's center of the plate, and look at that ball just begin to dart inside. And before you know it, you get it right in on the trademark, break your bat, and it's an easy ground ball to third.
Runners at second and third. 1 out. And Roland takes high, ball 1. Roland 1 for 5 in his career against Mariano Rivera. A couple of years there playing inside the American League East did Roland, of course, with Toronto. Diving play in the hole. The throw is not going to be in time. That'll be an infield hit to bring in a run to make it a 5-2 game, and a tying run will come to the plate. Brandon Phillips is safe at home. Safe and secure. New York Light.
A nice play by Nunez. The shortstop gets up, and he's not going to get rolling. So the Reds get a break. They find a hole right there, push a run across, and Scott's able to continue the inning.
Chris Heisey will battle for 3 in a game. Struck out his last 2 times up. There's strike 1. Maybe a bit of a surprise. No Johnny Gomes here. Gomes 2 of 6 in his career against Mariano Rivera. There's one. Safe as a call at first. Another run scores, making it a 5-3 game. So again, the tying run will come to the plate.
Well, as a right-hander, you're seeing that ball, the cutter going away from you. And Heisey gets it out on the end of the bat. Rivera thinks he's got the start of a double play, and Chris Heisey just runs too well down the line. So still, the tying run at the plate.
And even though Renteria in his career is 3 for 9 against Rivera, you're thinking now about one swing of that bat potentially to tie a game for you. We told you about Johnny Gomes, 2 for 6 in his career. Ramon Hernandez is 6 for 20 against Mariano Rivera. Another guy who has provided late inning heroics with a long ball. Renteria looks at a strike. And now Hernandez is coming into the on-deck circle now. Paul Janisch is called back. Showed you Renteria good numbers. 3 of 9 against Rivera. Reds down to their final out. And it's 0-2. To the count on Renteria. Swung on and fouled out of play. It's not to say that Renteria again is not capable of hitting the long ball. We know that he is. And even though Hernandez is not considered to be a big power hitter, Gomes has a lot of power, but of course not he does have 8 home runs. Hernandez has 7. Renteria does not have any. Let the runner take second base.
Yeah, well, keep in mind that on the other hand of that, Tom, Mariano Rivera rarely gives up a home run. Yeah. He's only given up 1 home run this year, and this is his 30th ball game. So he's very stingy with the long ball. He only gave up 2 all of last year. So it could be Dusty Baker's thinking is that I'm going to send some guys up there that have had a measure of success against Rivera, hoping that I can string a couple of hits together, because the odds of us hitting a home run are very slim with him on the mound.
Renteria's worked the count even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Heisey at second. Renteria hanging in there as he fouls it off out of play to the first base side, checking his back. He's still not sure if there's a crack in there. Renteria trying to keep this thing alive. With 2 outs in the 9th, down 2 runs. But not meant to be. Too little, too late. 2 in the bottom of the 9th. And the Yankees win the opener of this 3-game series 5-3. Rivera nailing down the save. for the winner, Ivan Nova, and Travis Wood suffers his 5th loss of the year.
It was almost like we previewed it, talking about how well the Yankees play early in the ball game, how they outscore their opponents by 42 runs in the first and second innings. So it was very necessary for the Reds to put a 0 on the board in the first inning. Travis Wood unable to do that. The Yankees got 4. They didn't get much after that at all until they pushed a run across in the 8th. And the Reds really could not get anything going against that young 24-year-old Ivan Nova. And it was a well-pitched ball game. Hope that Johnny Cueto can come out and throw some zeros on the board tomorrow when they square up for game 2.
All right, 5-3, our final. Jim Day is standing by for the start of Reds Live. Jimbo.
Tom, thank you very much.